Allocated streamlines, high position locations and directions. To understand the track settings. It's all position locations how we see ourselves. It's all about understanding our purpose. What is our purpose to be here? Once you understand the central communication settings, you really understand the recognized locations when it comes into time interference. Now, time interference is clock lines of time sequence times pi. The high generation streamlines and position locations get you in all levels of what you're supposed to be doing in position location of earth perception line settings. Everybody has an earth perception. Okay, it's high signal and high interference. Now, your job is basically to protect its setting. To protect its setting is where they stand the measures and the communication that comes into all those scaling systems. It's specific location to its direct locations. It owns all levels of channel upper streamlines. So it's about understanding how to really set your signals into all levels when you come to your own post. When you come into your own post, you start to recognize who you become. And when you become scriptured. And when you become scriptured, you can communicationalize settings into all levels of the universal law of one. Now, I'm in the central line communication of my sun. The electrical setting is very high raised. Light signature patterns, high interference. See, you can tell it's like a graph. Setting, correlation settings. Resetting back into vision, back where I am. See? Little and little and little and little through pi line center sun position location correlation system. Everything is done through inside setting. Everything outside line interference is just a reflex locations, how you see it sets. Understand the recognition of timelines, time streams, times pi. It positions your direct locations all levels. Now, the correlation system of the team line is coming into light communications and protection line streams. All about understanding your post to your direct locations of what you're doing through your journeys and missions. Okay? This is the process of its purpose to understand why you're put on this earth. And over time, gives you all levels of where you're supposed to be in that correlation setting. So it's all about fluctuating up and down. I'm showing you what I can do in all line, signal line interference, business location directions. So your light keepers is all levels of gatekeeping. Your job is to guard these things every single day. It's not just a journey. It's not just a mission. That's why you're here. That's the purpose of living. So I just want you to understand how important it is of what's happening too. You guys in one graph stream. Foundations of one line signal and set locations. Imagine where you'll be in a higher level correlation setting at the mind adaptations of all syncing patterns. SYNC. Systematical Y-line settings, neutralize communication, new lines of systematic locations of operations of command. Setting course lines in your set locations into all division locations of calculations. Knowing exactly where you're supposed to be in higher levels of space and time. Okay? So in that direct locations, congratulations. Now the position lines of all levels of higher self lines, we're going to get you into platitude line interference of observation locations. All right. So it's kind of like giving you guys a multi-pass of what's going to happen to your higher line streams. There's going to be higher formations of intelligence. That's going to give you a position of itinerary. That itinerary is going to open up high setting line position locations to your set locations, what you're supposed to be doing at your post. So that's going to be given to you to the position locations all through geometry setting. The set line position locations put you in your higher self and set line interference. Now the pro location is going to put you in ground setting into position locations into 14 operation. All right. Magnetic field line centers to umbrella communication of satellites and sat location to Earth and echolocation of surface. Okay. So we got one line channel and a 14 division locations high setting. Correlation system at all levels of dimensional locations into two gates of high centers of two panels. Open position locations on line setting, 4 in position line setting, 1 in ground setting rotations into triangulation set location. This opens up all purpose. The set lines of the systematic line conditions comes into sequence patterns, into energy line centers, locks its locations of cross waving cycles and high center generation streams, setting correlation system in position locations into timestamps into operation cycles. High position location of directions into 12 line streamlines in position locations into travels. Setting high position location in securities, perimeters, and parameters into 2, 2, 2, 2. In position of hanger, set line communication of 2 lines, 2 lines, 2 lines, and 2 lines equals 4 generation stream lines in high generation stream location. Setting position of direct location is to understand how to use your higher self through light keepers of operation. Okay? So understand your post, okay, is understanding the perception of operation, the systematical of your teleportation stream sets. You have to really recognize these things over time. And it's important you understand these things, right? So when the activation stream comes into the ground setting, into your magnetic fields, it's going to set up a sonic wave central communication settings to allow a view of space and time, right? But remember, this is one graph stream of one foundations. This is just the A, B's, and C's of its track setting. All right. Okay, so when you get in that position line directions, the reason why I'm in the sun code setting interference, because I'm opening up gates. Now, opening up a gate is true you stand your post. When you're standing your post, you're standing location settings. So you got spot checks and set locations of point settings in set locations of where you're supposed to be into fluctuation line setting. All levels of plus line channels, operations, string lines, and high rotation position locations. Direct signals into all levels, setting high position location of light bearers, light keepers, protectors, all in confirmation cycles. Commanding systems, commanding post, high center lines, strength, courage, power, recognition, space, time, provision. Understand correlation settings, vector over line positions of pi, setting position locations, all levels of triangle locations. Setting communication systems into higher levels of gatekeepers of set locations and the webbing plasma setting stream locations. 14 channels of upper string lines and set lines in high division locations. 6 in operation, 7 in division and conscious line settings, 8 in infinity cycle, 9 in line rotations, into energy wash, rainbow wash communications, 10 in line setting, a high position location and celestial channel setting, in locations and ancestry locations of family setting, in set location of solar system line position locations, gateway service, high line center location, divine. Center locations in 196 line setting and high line position locations in the 54 line settings in high interference of cities and line communications, towns line setting, high position location, all track interference, gateway surface, and high position locations of all level line settings into positions. All right. So the stargates are set up in high line rotation interference and position locations into plasma channels, operation streamlines in all position locations, octagon, hexagon, and all levels of tetrahedron, octahedron, and hexagonal. Hexagonal communications into stargate lines of star positions. All right. So setting star position line, direct line settings puts you in position line directions. All right. So now everyone is at their post. Okay. Setting correlation set lines is in set locations. You have higher levels of intelligence in position locations. So this is just an eye view of what you're going to be doing in the future adaptations of your operation settings. Setting position line directions. There you go. So 20 minutes is on the clock. All right, have fun. Setting signals in high center generation string lines is to put you in position line directions. We're going to open up all channel line position of Stargate settings in position location, the flux capacitor line positions, V line cross, V volume, and V acceleration set location, acceleration over volume, setting correlations into underscore line setting, into over cross locations, into high position locations, into a new ground setting, into rotations of UFO setting. Now, setting position locations at all levels, open line stargates. Stargate here in set location. It's going to get more complicated now, more fun. So we got 2 stargates, sets and lines. That's 2 position locations on line setting in set locations. All right. So 2 line setting, rotation cycles, spin cycles, spin cycles, spin cycles. Setting high center interference in position location directions. Open up stargates in position. All levels of line connections. Now there's going to be 3 triangle set lines into portals of communication, open all levels in position line directions. Now, when you open up a channel after streamline, it's a vortex chamber communication setting. It gives you all levels of navigation stream sets in high setting. Okay, so sets in position and triangulation. Okay, so as it's set up, comes in position line settings, comes into all line position. See how it's coming into form? Setting line setting, position locations, of directions, so 2 panels of opera stream sets. Setting correlation setting line and rotations to an orb channel of operation to a spectral extreme location. This opens up higher line division location to a new ground setting in rotations in position locations into a fly set line conditions. That opens all position locations to a clock line setting. We set up an orb channel and offers streamline settings into its VAS of its volume communication to its cyclone setting, sets a high line in position location of directions to Merkaba position line channels. A high center interference comes in position location to higher levels of communication. This opens up high position locations of travels into one line setting, into two rotations, indirect locations, to new cycle of operation set locations into light bearers of communications, stargates, and light keepers of observation. Done through equation. All right, setting line signals is understanding the true form of higher self-line positions. What is the foundations of zero line gravity is the zero line position of 12. Central communication system is all levels of U of activation streamlines. This is where you come into your videograph streamlines and set locations. So we got a box line positions and two line settings and three location settings. All right, setting position location UFO, UFO, and UFO line settings, scan position, scan position, scan position. All right. Setting course line channels and operation cyclones, high center interference to cyclone line position and cyclone operation settings. Okay, that opens all signals in higher center line position location to higher positions in set location. Done through equation. So everything that I'm setting up is channeling through operation stream sets. This is channeling operation location of theta settings. Once you come to theta interference, you really understand there's zero gravity line position locations of 1, equal conditions of 0, 0, 0. Bracket location of 3 sets here, equal locations of times pi, position line directions, open all channel option stream locations. All right. Now times pi line center line position location sets up its own pi correlation. Right? Sets position locations into time. Okay. Time equals maintenance. Maintenance equals mind. And mind equals locations of operation. Now the operation sets the signal locations into levels. This comes into the arch of communications in the three cycle line settings. This opens all communication to your set lines in rotations to your positions of your post. Setting coercion setting line positions into space and positions of time. Done through equation. All right. So recognizing communication of program setting is really understanding the operation cycles and how it sets line position location to directions, right? So getting in this in position gets you already where you're supposed to be in division line settings. You have a division line rotations in position locations into vector position locations in all line setting position location of sector line communication system, all levels of quantum setting, line interference and set locations. So it's a really interesting look at location settings, right? And set line interference. Now, once you get into that position location, you come into quads. Now, quads is the highest formations. All right, so you come into quad unit line center locations. This sets line position of recon, sets line communications, all settings, all interference line direct locations. This position locations in all levels its cross signal to its arch position location of circle line interference into its position line directions into two panels of operation streamlines into course line channels and high center interference into your Merkaba position location of direction. Okay, done by equation. Now, everything that I'm setting up is position of U through direct line setting. It's really understanding how to set your signals in all correlation. Now, getting in that position locations, you have your stargates, right? We have the stargate line position of 1 ground, so 1 foundation stream sets into 2 position locations of open channels. Open frequency of vortex C. Vortex C, high center interference of vortices line center locations into placement settings and high generation streamlines in its position locations of its multi-layers of its dimension location. Right? Channel option streamlines and set locations. Walking the surface and set locations into highest channels of operation. Coming in communication security barriers and parameters and 3-line settings. Okay. Open signals and high generation streamlines. Now this attitudes its position locations into platforms of communications through its correlation system of pi. See, the pi generates its streamline set lines in communication. This opens up higher levels of time clocking set location of stream settings, right? Done through equation. All right, so understanding the positions of intersecting and high line interference of interception is the high set locations. Coming into graph line streams and set locations. all measures U in position of a map sequence location. High channels all levels of dimensional line settings as stream location settings. This opens all provision locations into templates of activation stream locations. Now, I'm studying graph lines of 1 and position location of 2 in triangulation sets. Setting line position locations into 3, equal locations of 3, set lines position location of 6 and 6 channel operation. Setting communications into position of 2 sets position locations into all levels in solar direct line settings in position of 2 vector line streams. So this is vector equals pi in set location. Done by equation. All right, so clocking set lines is 15 line positions of 55, setting locations of 34 into 5 thumbs up. Setting line position locations measures this correlation system when it comes into, you guessed it, it's scale. Scale position line directions. All right, setting position locations into your setting. There's the intelligence. Now, flux capacitor is extremely important when you understand position location of directions. You see what I'm drawing? Drawing communication, all line signatures and line streams in high center and high position locations, all levels of measure. There's the intelligent locations. Center line position locations in position line directions into its crop circle locations, a new center wave position line direction. Now the line communication comes over cross stream. This is where it comes into the operation of umbrella. The operation umbrella sets high center locations into 3 spectrum communication of light streams in set locations. Setting lines of timelines and set locations into its past, into its present, into its future, and everything through adaptation of your avatar setting. Done by equation. So, setting signals in high position location comes into all levels. The schematic line setting, equal lines position of charge lines into position of T, in position location of T, in position location of line settings of T. Teleportation, telewaving, telecommunication. Bracket setting line position of 3, set locations into 0, 1. Okay, underscore line setting. That's negative or positive, equal locations of 2. So that's positions of 2, sets locations of 3 into triangulation. Done by equation. Reversing cycles and high generation streamlines and high center and high interference, high position of directions really understand all levels of U through your higher self position. So you have the 0 line setting in rotations to umbrella. You have 0 line position location of location, and you got 0 operation cycles and high center of its Earth equal location of its surface. Okay, done by equation. Rotation spin cycles and high centers of flywheel line centers, generation streamlines and high center location of the pyramid settings, hieroglyphic location of channel operator streamlines, theta interference, position of program locations of operation cycles. So you have the theta line setting and position locations in the levels of 0, 1. Okay, setting line position locations. 0, 1 set locations into bracket of 3. Okay, equal line position of 7. Okay, now 7 line position locations into 5. 5 sets line position locations equal line conditions into 8, 8 equals location at 8, 8. Channel position of split line into infinity 8 cycle high rotation position location of directions. All right, done by equation. All right, high signaling panels of operation streamlines, high position location of direction is really understand the process. So again, you go through 0 line position, bracket line centers of 3 line settings and high center locations into the light keepers. Okay, you guys are light keepers now. Light keeper locations, open operations into Stargate settings, setting location position of travels, into 12 sequence, setting the Fibonacci swirl and rotation setting. High division line setting and rotation spin cycles and high center interference into 24,000 light signature patterns and rotation setting interference in track location. Done by equation. Okay, setting correlation sets. Settings of 0 line rotations and position of platforms into crop circles. Set positions of 4 generation pi settings. Pi position locations, and future line setting. All right, rotation spin cycle sets line position location operation into positions into 1 line channel. 1 equals line positions into light, into keeper, in protection, equals location of its realms, equal location of its division. Done by equation. Signal rotation centers, operation cyclones, high center interference. You're going to set locations on levels. So you got spin, cycle, triangulation set lines in one division. One division line position locations, equal line conditions into 1,000 line units. 1 equals 1,000, bracket 3 zeros, and location setting. All right. So once you get into one line position locations, equal line conditions of 1 into one position, into another position, you bracket locations of portal setting. Portal setting position center its communications cyclone, high center its position of travel, setting the high positions to its map of its correlation systems into two box positions of panels in triangulation location in its position. Done by equation. All right. As I'm setting these things up, it's all levels of view and position locations, right? Videograph screen lines and set lines and high center locations of measure and balance line setting. So you got 5 division locations, you got 3 sets, you got 2 sets, you got 1, 0, 0, 0, and line position locations, in line interference and position line conditions of, you guessed it, high center interference locations, all levels of triangle sets in high setting of half of pi. Okay, done by equation. All right, every time I'm done by equation, I'm setting lines of unit locations, setting operation signals, and planning operation streams. This is about understanding more levels of view through higher self, how to use the operation to its post, to understand the position, location, and directions that's given to you through channel operation. Okay, all right, so in that position line directions, we got realms of correlation, block surface and line settings of 4 line position locations, high centers of travels. Okay, and you got a Stargate set location. All levels of open channel frequencies. Okay. Now setting position locations of 1 in position of 3 triangle sets and set location. All right, so as we come to 3 triangle line center, it comes in position location to 3 set location. Setting high position locations comes into its triangulation set. Operation to its position location comes into online settings at 3 equal locations of 3, 3 equal line conditions of 3, 3 line conditions equal to 3, and 3 line conditions of 3. So that's heart, mind, soul, body, and activation stream set. Your connection to ground settings into all positions. Okay, we've got a little bit of instability here. We're going to backtrack set locations into vision. All right, setting signals in high setting. So you got 1 line centers of ground interference into 4 position locations, soul, genders, and streamlines. In Fibonacci to double helix and position location of flux capacitor. Setting position location direction, 0 gravity line rotations, equal line conditions of vector and position line settings in a correlation system to new Merkabah channel operations streamlines into a test or channel position location of a computer operations streamlines and activation stream location. All right, so all signals and all operation line settings 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. 7 signals and high center interference, 5 position locations into 12 set locations into high generation line settings. Open all communication system of 14 of activation line settings to all correlations of sonar on position. All right, now set locations. 14 operation signals are open through you, through your higher self. Congrats. All right, done by equation. Now, the signal panels is trying to understand how to set lines of communication to really understand the position that you're in, right? The real position that you're in is all levels of post. Understand the correlation system, understand your journeys, understand your missions. This is way beyond recognition that you can even imagine position line directions, all right? So you got 14 channels. So you have 13 line setting in set locations into 14 positions, equal line conditions into 14 0, 0, okay, setting locations and set locations. So that's 14,000 lines, okay? So 1,000 line stream, okay, bracket again, location setting. That's where you guys are at. Now, recognition line interference equals locations into lights equal locations of keepers. All right, you're setting the signals now, the set locations. Done by equation. Congrats. All right, so as we set in signals, the higher self is going to go to higher line position. Now, when the higher line position opens up all track settings, you have to understand the X line settings. X equals line, line equals J, J equals box, box in position locations into high center line interference into hanger in set locations settings in position of 7, 7 locations into 5. 5 swings up and set location to a field line center, sets a new crop circle location setting. Okay. As it's going in line in rotation interference, it's setting a new ground line rotations into all levels of correlation system in position to an offline setting in high center interference in position location of travel. Okay. Done by equation. Setting lines of gamma line signature patterns and correlation system coming at all lines setting in high interference position location directions. Alpha line setting, bracket interference into the line position of delta, bracket line centers of energy line settings into scoop. All right, this equals line position of scales. Okay, inset lines position of sales. Okay, sales line setting and set locations. So in set lines and high interference, to really understand the mechanism locations in its energy line. Flux path position location systematic line, position of string line, the Y sector. Y sector line position locations into 2 over pi position of square into underline setting and position location into space in equals line position location of commanding setting. Done by equation. All right. So there's a lot of signature line streams that you guys are coming into through vortices and complication settings. The complication setting is the attract setting. Now, once you get into the complacement system, you understand the position, location of directions, and how this sets you up in all operation locations to your post. Everything that's set up is all set up locations. All right. All right. Let's see. Controlling your emotionals, you'll never be controlled. Well, that's exactly what it is. Position line directions. All right. So how's everybody doing? Genius, how you doing? Jamie, Gypsy, Tina, all levels of Madeline, Jamrocks, Heather, Airbender, Guardian calculation settings, all levels. Hey, Belinda, like that. Light keeper schematics, platform set locations. Okay, Belinda. Setting line interference. And set locations. All right. Setting high division locations of all track settings. Max. Let's see. JP. All right. Getting you guys ready. Set location Sam. Gypsy. All right. It's great to see everybody in set locations. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys putting your name there. Light keepers of navigations. See, that's all it is. Paying attention to these line signals puts you in all position, location, and direct settings. Okay, so it's important you do these things. So we keep track of everybody in that set location. All right, Nita. Okay, Val. Okay, Val, you're on a correlation setting. Light keepers of lights and shadows. Make sure you change your bio. Lights and shadows. Congrats. All right, setting signals high center interference is setting position, location, direction, location settings. All right, so in that equation set, guys, you have to really recognize what is going on with you when you're into your interdimensional self. Now, the interdimensional self is a magnetic line wire. That wire changes position, location, of direction, locations of space and time through equations. So equations get easier over time. You guys are in 13 line setting in set locations into 14 channels of operation, 2 line centers of vector in set locations, into quadrant setting. Okay, know exactly where you are is your position locations, equal line connections, position line centers of its post of its set in its full operation set location. Okay, done by equation. All right. Getting in position is sure to stand line settings. Now, once you want to get you guys into 15, equal line connections is line center locations. 1 line set 5 line positions into 5, 5, 5, 5. Okay, setting the high position locations into levels of set locations into flux capacitors. In set locations into box in line in position of triangle set location. Okay, so that's next, but you got your magnetic field lines open up, so that's good. So in that position locations tomorrow, we'll open up your signals and high center of activation string lines into your heart reactor and set lines in position location to all levels of pi calculation stream sets. Hooah. Setting a web graph line stream, setting a high line and rotation interference, automatic switches in high position, right? Correlation system, high lines of earth line rotation to sets lines and communications, spectrum communications, all levels the division locations of its earth line surface. So setting position locations done by equation. All right. Last but not least, the center line in the rotation spin cycle has to really recognize all communications to your clocks. Clock line setting and position locations into your light keepers in 3 generation stream sets. It opens all position locations and all levels of the Fibonacci swirl in 1 set locations into 3 atoms of rotation. Setting line position locations into the sun line in communications to the moon set rotation interference, sun and moon, into kaleidoscope of communication. Setting line position locations into 12 line signals and high center interference and high position locations of levels of travels of recognition of space and time. Position line center, sun rotates its system over here, into here, into here, into a time frame, into a theta line setting in rotations to a box location set lines and high position locations of its E of its equation set location high setting. Done by equation. All right. Now last, the set lines and the communication is the energy graph interference. Setting that position locations puts you all levels of channels of echo chamber set lines. Okay, this comes into all position locations, how you come in your portal chambers. Now, portal chamber is set line communication. Portal equals chamber set, chamber position locations into jump scar, line conditions into box, set locations into triangle sets, sets position locations and the levels of your position line directions into higher set correlation system of your pyramid setting. Pyramid setting rotates its spin cycles and set locations into 3 waving cycle lines. Cycle lines and set line position location into position location of the graphs of communication. Setting graph line centers into position rotation, cyclones and high center interference and high direct locations into 9 channels in position line setting, and all operation signals and high position locations of its wash, of its synchronous line interference of pro locations into its algorithm setting. Hoo-ah, done by equation. All right, so we're good in that length. We're good in that position line directions. It's all levels of channel option streamlines. All right. 9 sets positions of vector lines into angular velocity of omega, 0 of vacuum sets, new E fields into gamma lights, waves of 5 over factor over pi. That's exactly what it is. Belinda. So the schematic line setting is set lines of your communication to higher self now, but your provision locations are in positions now to your magnetic fields. Congrats. It's all set and signal to your light keepers of operations in position locations to its gatekeepers of its projection. So exactly what's going on in line setting. Let's note exactly how you come into flux capacitor line connections, right? Once you get into line interference, you come to A line centers of B, position location of C, C line position of D, D sets line positions of A, back in the correlation system. Bracket interference is 0 line position locations, equal line conditions into 3 0 location settings and set locations, in set lines of 3, in location of 6 line centered, into 8 position location of 9. 9 crosses over line positions to its rainbow streamlines and set location, position, location, direction. Okay, down by equation. Now, when I keep saying last but not least, it's all position, location, and directions. So it's all about understanding how this is already set up, guys. It's all in scripture. It's all in written set locations, in set lines of its infinity cycles of 8, equal locations of 8, position line directions, and center communications into its triangle line setting, into higher communications of a Merkaba into its texture high setting rotation. All right. So knowing what you're up against is trying to understand your correlation system to your post. Now, all higher selves are in time sequence times a pi. That position location of its vector interference opens all quantum channels of you through operation. So waiting on signal is all you can do. Okay, setting in position location is lock and key. Opening something up and ready in position location to its correlation system. Don't come into anticipation. All right. Don't have waiting expectations on this. Everybody gets their post over a certain sequence of position locations of time, of space. Understand? Space and time is a provision location to your levels that's coming into more levels of development of you inside locations. Understanding the geometric patterns, understanding the circuitry like communications, understanding the operation of the higher self, understanding full cycles of the magnetic fields, understanding all position location of directions to emotional setting and human res locations of pi. Position locations of pi, underscore communications of pi, line signature, line connections of pi, inner line rotation, position locations of relays, high center interference, position location operations of pi. Everything is pi. Now it's going to get a lot more easier now because you're in your higher self. 3 magnetic fields. Tomorrow, you guys will be in your time sectors, time reactors of timelines and 6 locations. This is where we take the seconds in positions to the valence line signal. It's all frequencies in one position to one location to one atom line setting. All right? Stay tuned for more. All right, so setting communication line interference and set locations. All right, so close doors and set locations, check your navigation streams, set in high interference, close all windows and set location. All right, so you guys are back in signal. Back in rotation settings, you have your magnetic fields lines, your operation signals, and your alpha line settings into your delta, into your omega in communication, your theta line position locations of beta, setting signal locations of gamma settings and the levels. Radiation surface is coming in next in set locations. The highest formation line center location is heart generation streamline, which is all levels of computer operation locations. This opens all channels of operation of you inside its inner core of its interrelation setting to its interface position location of its full operation of you through pi. The spectral communication has to truly understand how to use all levels of you through your higher self. Your higher self is there for you every single day. The central calculation system has to be in positions to one timeline. Bring you guys down to one number of position locations into one data stream of one clocking system, simultaneously living all timelines all at once. Once. Okay? Not twice, not 3, not 4, not 5. Once. Okay? That's the sector line of communication. The palpitation location of the heart has to recognize the time sequence location of patterns. Your heart is a computer generation streamlines at all levels of electrical line and position location, energetic line interferences, and impulses. The impulse communication line, inner line rotation, position locations, all levels of space-time communication navigation. It's all levels of you and set lines of communication. All right? So that's what's going to be opened up tomorrow in set location. All right? 5-10 minutes. I'll see you guys in Zoom. Adios.